Good evening, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I'd like to invite the speaker, Dr. V.K. JAYARAGHAVENDRA Rao, who will speak about startups in agriculture. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, agriinformation.com. At the very outset, so today's hot topic is startup in agriculture, and now you see our Prime Minister coming up with the G20 summit, and in the afternoon, I just attended a meeting. So we've been asked to make a promotional video about horticulture and G20 and how it can leverage India into the within 20 countries where the cooperation is on, like Brazil, Argentina, and so on and so forth. So now, what are the startups and why in agriculture? You must have heard about many IT startups. You know, somebody develops a software, somebody's talking about an IoT, somebody has a drone technology. Even Ola, Uber are all startups. Okay, Amazon is a startup. So, with special emphasis to agriculture, how these startups can gain, especially when G20 has come into the picture, and when India is now the chairman till 2023 November. So, what are the things we can do in startups? So, I just picked up this particular topic because this is the current topic for delivery. Now, very quickly we go with all these initial slides here. So, you already know that the G20 is a premier forum in the international economic cooperation, and especially when it comes to agriculture, we hold not only 646.6 million hectares of land with about 8,40,000 villages in this country. And our agri startups are doing very great, and with all the ecosystem in hand. Recently, I conducted a winter school on startups and entrepreneurship in agriculture. I was the course director. It concluded on 14th. So there the emphasis was how can we leverage our products, our startups, and especially our entrepreneurs who are emerging as startups, and what are those brilliant ideas where the other countries can also pick up from us. So with that as a backdrop, the sustained growth, obviously in global energy and the resource commodity markets, especially metal, energy, livestock, and meat in the agriculture products. With these 20 countries, India is definitely going to lead because most of these countries are having one or two crops. For example, Brazil can talk only about coffee, then Australia can talk about wool. And unlike India, where we have a very diversified sort of production system, we have got people all around, our human resources are very rich. So, therefore, the startups in agriculture would go a very long way in strengthening the G20 thirst areas. So, now I will very quickly say, just like you have got this one district, one product, and we'll just take that one state, one product. So, you look at the various states where many startups have already come, and the target is by the coming year we should have about 10,000 startups. And in Agri we are no less, and Bangalore is the hub of startups. I have already been telling even in the earlier session as well. So now, see, Punjab is the largest producer of food grains. Okay, Uttar Pradesh emerged as a wheat producer. Assam is coming with a big tea there, and then West Bengal is also the largest producer of rice. Then Madhya Pradesh stands for soybean, pulses, and linseed, and Karnataka with sunflower, seed, maize, ragi, coffee, and cardamom. I was in Coorg just last week. See, our coffee Arabica is sold at 120 rupees a kilo. But just with the coffee powder, he makes 400 rupees for a kilo. It's just only, grinding it and adding some chicory and all that. So, establishing a very important supply chain, value chain through the startups, and then linking the farmers with the markets, and now of course with the G20 for the next 1 year with those countries, we do have an advantage in the startups in agriculture. So Gujarat is the largest producer of cotton, Maharashtra is the largest producer of jawar, tobacco, and safflower. So with all these things in hand, okay, our domestic record production on both agri stood up at more than 10 million metric tons in agri and about 335 million metric tons in horticulture. We are the largest producer. Obviously, milk we are number one. That you already know. So there was a time when India was mocked upon, and today no longer it is the mocking part. See, either everything cannot be consumed domestically Okay, and because we are in surplus production, see, don't think we don't have production. We have the technologies in place, we have the production in place, and now we are unable to even process all those things, and therefore the startups go a very long way in processing them and putting it to the export market and producing as per their needs. So this is where India stands, and this is how the market overview I've been telling. Okay, and we have an advantage, and obviously the opportunities for the startups are, the supply chains are very inefficient, and then obviously the value chain is very, very inefficient, especially in horticulture. See, you can't consume directly the mangoes or grapes like that unless you process it to some juice, jam, jelly, and then the probiotic sort of juices which IHR is coming out. So you cannot tap and get the market. There's a lot big potential scope there, and then also the other challenge is the middlemen and the agents who hitherto were knocking away all the profit, and even they don't know how to establish an efficient supply chain. See, simply by exchanging hands, making money does not become a value chain. See, unless, suppose I tell you grape juice or a pomegranate juice, you put a small probiotic or you just make an arca microbial consortia for the input factorization part of it. See, until you do all those things, your value addition does not take place. When value addition does not take place, you cannot tap the niche market. This is where the startups have to come out with a very, very augmented and a very sound business plan with their competitors in mind and their risk management, and all those managerial issues are there. So, and earlier there was a situation when the startups, not much financing because most of them were bootstrap financing with their own funds, and now we have the crowdfunding and the angel investors coming into the picture, and the ecosystem is really bright, I could say, for the Indian thing. And yeah, of course, most of them were dryland crop, but now with good irrigation also, especially Jain has come out, and so many other things have been coming out, and startups have got definitely an advantage. So the other part is the farm size versus the productivity. It's not that when the farm size increases, the productivity should increase. See, today every startup has been focusing on two slogans, and recently, the just today it was there in the editorial, the GM mustard, and then how the ICR's role and whether it should be a good way or not. So there are many such controversies, small one, but the idea here is to have more crop per drop, or the productivity should be really high. When the production is very high and the productivity is very high, how are you going to establish those supply chains, those value chains, and writing a sound business plan, and how are you going to market these things? This is where the startups have to come out with a novel idea, with a brilliant idea to make money. Now, there are so many subsectors. You see, many of the startups like Big Hat, Ninja Cart, okay, Agri Hub, then Farm Guru is there, Krishi Star, Crow Farm, Sabzi Wala, okay, Crop In, and you already got so many small startups. We have a Super Daily, we have a Big Basket. Okay, obviously Amazon has been leading not only just in books but even in the agri and other sectors as well. So there are so many subsectors, especially when you talk about two issues in startups. One is the input factorization and the other one is the output commercialization. So at the input place, the marketplace model, or the agri input sellers have been matching with the farmers' needs and aspirations. And at the output front, we have farm to fork supply chain model, where matching the farmers and the business retail customers for fresh produce and processed food. There's a huge market here as well. So I've been giving an example here. So how many people are there into the input factorization part, and how many are in the output commercialization part? Then many people take the startups as farming as a service. See, even I told you IHR has come out with this Arka Vyapar app, and then today everybody talks about an app just like Ola, Uber. Can we aggregate the services and give the farmers a service? So I've been seeing a lot of service happening in the input market, but very less happening in the output aggregation part. So I was just making a very casual comment yesterday with some of my colleagues. I said, see, everybody has a business model today, but where is the business model for the farmers? So there are many startups which are coming. I told you this example of Arabica coffee, 120 rupees a kilo, sold at Markera Coorg, and then the Kotas coffee fellow where you all drink is about 400 rupees a kilo of coffee powder. So what big value addition is he doing? Is he only putting some chicory and then see how does Kotas coffee make money? He's only established the supply chain. He grinds the coffee, door delivery, and all that. So can't this be done by our own farmers who are producing coffee? So next big money is coming in IoT and big data-led innovation. Okay, especially in data mining and all that, and what are the customer needs and consumer CSRs, and then customer relationship management. So there are a lot of such things where you can establish the link between the buyer and the seller, and especially the retail and then the petty customers. Then obviously there are other engineering-led innovation, like we have drip technologies, and today a lot many things comes with the foliar spray formulations. Even IHR has been doing with this foliar spray formulation, and with this, because when the foliar spray is made, it is the entire nutrients is picked up by the vacuoles and the stomata. So the stomata is going to absorb all this, and the nutrients like NPK and even the micronutrients are stored in the vacuoles in the cell, and then that's how it picks up. So you can see the agri-tech funding. There are so many companies created, especially 2014 when the first Modi government took place. You could see a lot of initiative and impetus coming, and then over the years it's been quite steady. The funding is also increasing, and the startups investments have also been increasing, and many agri startups, like Ninja Cart, Waycool, Farm Mart. Many of my students are working in Waycool right here in Bangalore. Recently, my student, one Amal Maria, was here. So like that, there are so many. That means today what I wish to make a point by this particular slide is the ecosystem is in place, the funding is in place, not just the bootstrapping individual funds. We have crowdfunding, we have angel investors, and even investment is not a problem. But what is the lacking in startup is the idea. It should not be a Me Too idea. See, you take an IoT. See, suppose people told that they can control their. Especially in rural areas where there are power cuts. So I was making an experiment in a village called Basti in Faizabad district. That's very near Ayodhya. So very peculiar. The power comes in the midnight at 2 o'clock, and it is just there for about 1 or 1.5 hours. So within that 1 hour, whether the farmer can go to the field and irrigate and switch on the pump set and all that. If you just imagine how much of drudgery, see, the IoT can give a solution there. This is what I mean to say. So therefore, friends, there are so many innovations which can help the farmers and at the same time have a small profit sharing business model for yourself. And I think this is going to be the future. See, because already the urban markets and urban startups are already saturated, especially in Bangalore. All my friends are all startups, working for some startup in IT sector, IoT and so on, but very less in we have agri sector also coming up. A lot of my students have been working there. They say there is both good money here as well as a business model, but how you establish these business plans is left to you. See, otherwise people think that there is not so much money in agri startup and it's only investment, and that's what was the thinking. But with the present ecosystem and with the present things, you can make money, but definitely you may not be making those windfall profits like the IT sector. But here it's a service plus nation plus sovereignty of the country and serving the mankind. So that can go on, and then obviously especially in the agriculture startup, I can tell you very boldly that Maharashtra stands number one, followed by that is Karnataka and then Andhra Pradesh. And Tamil Nadu comes fifth, and the national capital is coming there. So Maharashtra, obviously, it boasts of having the 4 or 5 agriculture universities, private colleges in agriculture, especially the Shetakari, and then the Maha grapes was first there. So a lot of initiatives were taken by Maharashtra farmers, thanks to them. And then, of course, when you see this particular number of startups, it's slowly picking up. But I feel wherever it is less, and whatever is the ODOP or OSOP, or one state, one product. So you can definitely come out and increase, and you should tap those potentials obviously here. This is what I wish to reiterate, and kindly tell me when my time is up. I was given half an hour for the presentation, just 15 minutes gone. I have under 15 minutes and then we do it. So now, there are so many agri-tech startups, especially on the big data front, where the data mining is everything. Growstar and RML Agritech have been investing a lot of money in this. And even there was on Kalgudi, they used to make software. So when I was teaching management to my students at NAM, So I've been seeing many of these people come and say, sir, why don't you customize a small software for us with the ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಡಿ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ customize it. Jayant, ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಡಿ, class is on. Then farming as a service, I've been also telling that especially EM3 Agri Service offers farming as a service, especially with coming with the customizing centers, machinery rentals to farmers, and pay for use. Just like you have pay per click, you have a pay for use. So Gold Farm, Ravgo, Auction Farm Solutions, and Farm Mart. So farming as a service is not just only the input part of it. Even, I was working in one of the many of the FPOs in Koppal district just about 2 months back when the mango season had come to somewhere in June 2022. There are so many FPOs who are dealing with the Kesar Alphonse, a very premium mango, gentlemen, 300 rupees per kilo. But obviously, they don't have a supply chain, nor do they have a value chain. They cannot even establish a small market linkage in Bangalore where it's sold at 300 rupees. But they have to sell it at 100 rupees at the farm gate and quite a high premium. Therefore, the market linkage models, many innovations and startups have also been coming here, like merakisan.com. So even IFCO has been doing a lot of work of late, and I'm one of the consultants for IFCO. So we actually had a fortified bajra production program there. So this fortified bajra, especially with iron, 75 microgram per kilo, it's quite a good one, especially for the anemic children and pregnant women and so on. So people have been doing this market linkage models. I told you, give the examples. Then financial technology for farmers. Today digital payments, and then there's Sagruha, okay, and this microfinance investments. Sagruha was there, and that's a finance company here. Where simply with an Aadhaar card, your loan is delivered to you on your bank account. Okay, Sagraha it's called. So that's one BSc person who started this startup, good soaring business. See, everybody cannot go to the bank. See, today the mobile banking and the home banking has come with Sagraha, I have told you. Then obviously IoT for farmers, especially on the, I told you, this pump sets and IoT based crop control and so many things. It is going to monitor, and everything is based from the satellite data. So obviously there are so many government initiatives which has also come where startups can take up, and not many startups coming in the Fasal Bima Yojana, not coming up with this insurance schemes. Then especially in the Krishi Sinchayan Yojana, PMKSY, there's a lot of scope for the startups to go it. And obviously the Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, that organic farming, natural farming, and zero-based natural farming. I did some experiments in Peddapadu village. That is it's in Kaleshwaram, the temple. So where the Jurala project is there, I had been there. So the 2-3 people were putting the ZBNM, the zero-based natural farming. So but how to put it on a premium price? This is the whole issue the startups are facing. People are able to produce, they are able to put, collect your dash per need and Jivamrit, Bijamrit, and so on and so forth. But the production is also there. But how to take that produce and then position it at a premium with a good certification from APIDA and so on and so forth. So obviously the Atma model, the Agriculture Technology Management Agency, now we've got the Atma in every district. And we wrote the SREP for it long back, the Strategic Research Extension Plan for each and every district. And then there are more than a dozen of services and innovative technology like USSD are being operated for farmers and stakeholders, and then just the RFID technology to say from which farm it has come, whether can we give a premium price for it, and so on. So these are all the agriculture grand challenges. Okay, then people are also coming out with this sensor-based testing method, testing nutrients and micronutrients. A lot of big money is there. Then real-time assaying and quick grading solution for ENAM, especially we have the REMS in Karnataka, that regulated electronic market scheme. So people would like to know how to assay and grading. There's a big challenge. We had 2 startups. One of the startup with the sensor-based mango, he has become a unicorn. He has been promoted from IIHR. He's one of the good startups. Then developing an e-marketplace. Okay, sitting, people, you don't make the farmer move here and there. See, that is where the farmer is getting irritated and you are going to agitate him. See, just like Ola and Uber and today, sitting when you are doing all this electronic banking, see, you must be able to establish these sort of things. This is what I say. Then obviously price forecasting goes a long way in this, especially in the forecasting methods and the prices. So people would like to do crop planning and crop zoning, crop holidays, and so on and so forth. And if you forecast a good price for the coming, see now it is the Rabi going on. If you can forecast that for the next summer, what could be the watermelon price in the month of May? So definitely, I'm going to plant watermelon. It's going to come after this Magamasam. In the month of February, we do the planting of watermelon. So we want this sort of price forecast system, and definitely you can charge for the service, or you can now don't think you can have only a B2C model. And why do you think that way? For everything farmer will pay? I'm telling you, governments will pay, institutions will pay, the FPOs will pay, the startup itself can have such sort of a revenue and business model. So you should not think that everything farmer will pay. There are somebody else. So obviously the another important area where the startups are coming is dissemination of information to the last mile. They say E extension, M extension, and today it's all about startup extension through FPOs and CBBOs, the community cluster-based business organizations. So yield estimation modeling at the village and farm level, which is going to help the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. And I told you sorting graded, then also use of technology to test adulteration. See, today, especially, IHR boasts of having the very first honey testing laboratory in Indian Institute of Horticulture. This is right place at Hirehalli here. This is the first of its kind in India, gentlemen. So by using this technology, you can remove all that adulterated honey where, dextrose solution is getting imported from China and then they're mixing. So once one dextrose solution or that gel is inserted into the honey, you cannot really make out whether it's honey. So there is no test. So we have got this honey grading and honey testing lab at IHR here. Then availability of small agriculture implements, micronutrients. IHR has come out with this Arca microbial consortia. Then we have got the banana special, the mango special, citrus special, and so on. And then we have also licensed these technologies. And for your kind information, today IHR is number 1 institute among the 109 institutes in the Indian Council of Agriculture Research. It's not because of our buildings that we have been graded number 1. It is because of our technologies and our commercialization plans, and how we have taken these technology business incubators and promoted the startups. So obviously, many quality seeds are also sold through online. We have our Arca IHR resin. You come to the seed portal, you can get it, and then we have various call centers also doing this, gentlemen. So then, how are you going to use the crop residues like paddy, straw, so on and so forth? Then what are the technologies to substitute the use of pesticides and insecticides to prevent pre-harvest loss? So, and obviously people are coming with the organic and plant-based products, pesticide, drone technology is under one in agriculture startup. People have been thinking, can it carry a weight of about half a liter, 1 liter, when you can spray for about 10 acres and so on and so forth. So affordable, accessible, easily usable technologies and products which can enhance the agriculture productivity in India. I told you about the Pusa Basmati. It's a variety released by my ex-colleague Dr. Trilochan Mahapatra, who was our DG ICR. See, what is the export potential of some of these technologies? See, this is where India is a leader in agriculture technology. Just by having a startup licensing, we can simply, ICR has been making huge profits in just by the royalties received, gentlemen. So the scientists on one front have got a lot of technologies. The startups on the other front have to come and pick up some of the technologies which are going to be licensed to them, and then you can make a startup, we can get you funded, and then that's how there's a tremendous scope in agriculture startups and horticulture startups we wish to deliberate on today's class. So obviously, these are all, the e-marketplace. We have already told you that these are some of the advertisement investing in e-marketplace. People are developing it. And then, forecasting prices is under one big area. And then getting the right information. Crop advisory is also another startup which has come up. Estimating yields at the village and farm level. so that the agroeconomic potential is calculated both for the input factorization and the output commercialization. This is what we used to tell my MBA students, where how are you going to calculate the agroeconomic potential? See, that also helps the salesperson, especially in agri-input sector, to increase or decrease the sales. So using technology in sorting and grading, I've been telling you, it's one of the important, especially the RFID technology, from which farm it has come and what is the quality produce. All those things can be done here. Then also technology test adulteration of the fresh produce. I've already told you, it may be essential oils, it may be vanilla essence, or it can be even our honey. Whether adulteration is there or not, with very quick, simple technology, the startups can start selling the kits. And then agriculture implements and certification, quality sheets, online and digital is also there. Then instead of burning the paddy straw, can be used the same, especially in Haryana and Punjab, can be mulch it, can you have alternate. See, today we've got a lot of this paddy straw used in even in the fodder industry, coming with the that fodder cakes and meal cakes, for the cattle feed cakes are all done. So then substituting the use of pesticides to prevent pre-harvest and post-harvest losses. So what substitutes can be used? There's a big startup going on. Okay, and then agriculture productivity, obviously by the drip and sprinkler and through foliar application. The other one is in the aquaponics. I think this particular figure, we do have a center of protected cultivation at IAHR where we do soilless cultivation. I think I did give a seminar in agriinformation.com on one of the topics called soilless cultivation, vertical farming. So without any substrate medium, just using some cocoa peat, and then some of these roots are going to be dipped in the nutrient mediums and it picks up, and especially high value crops, vanilla, then especially export oriented medicinal plants, you can definitely grow. And this is what, so these are some of the agri tech innovations in the food and value supply chain. And then these are all in US dollars. So we have a steady market strength. And look at this. I told you various product life cycle, various products. I've just been discussing this from farm to fork. And obviously on two different fronts I did talk. Okay, that is one in the input factorization, other one is the product commercialization. 2 more minutes to go and I'll stop and then open for discussion. So the number of startups, especially in 2014, 2015, 2016, has been increased because of the new governments taking place. And startup segments, especially, especially on the supply chain, you have supply chain information platform, farm data analytics. Okay, then even the funding also in US dollar million, funds for agri startups is increasing. Okay, and then obviously in the fruit and vegetable market, we have many various players on the contract farming, importation of exotic fruits and sourcing from local farmers. Even this is that. And recently, one of my students in one of the training program, say, what is that Kashmir apples. Chopin, okay, from there the apples, he is unable to market it. It does not reach even Azad Mandi in Delhi. So we developed a small supply chain for him in this course. Okay, Chopin apples, and then how it can be marketed throughout. Because just like you have a milk grid, in fact, Safal did try long back, but not many startups venturing. See, I feel that in the agri startup sector, there's a lack of ideas. You don't have ideas. Not that you should know agriculture and things like that. You're not applying your business mind to how to market, where is the market, business plan. Once when you know all that, otherwise you are eating Californian almonds and then you have the California apples here. When that can be marketed, can't you market your own produce? Okay, I'm really amazed and understand. So I think some orientation and awareness lectures like this is going to help a long way. So last but not the least, we can classify various things. This should be the last slide, especially in agri-biotechnology. The GM mustard has taken a big hit. And then today you saw those orders. I'm not sure what could be the consequence. See, everybody tries to release a technology. But if, like Corona, if it affects tomorrow, see, especially in mustard, the mustard oil is consumed. And already Argemone mexicana is one of the adulterants in it. And then tomorrow, if it affects your reproductive system or cancerous things, then people will know it. Especially, the GM mustard, why they objected is, I'm just telling you as an ICR scientist, because the pollinators, the honeybees are going to be affected. Honeybees are nearly not palatable. So I feel, suppose if GM mustard comes in a big way, that also should be pollinated. And if the honeybees don't get attracted or it cannot feed on some of those pollen grains, because that is the main food for the honeybees, and if they don't pollinate it, and definitely your production and productivity will go. That is the only apprehension. But anyway, it's too immature to talk about it. So there are other sectors like farm management, okay, sensing, IoT, drone, farm technology, robotics. So all these things are there. Gentlemen, I quickly stop at this particular slide. Okay, Jayant, Nalachingana. So we quickly Nalaman. So I'm just telling my colleague. Yeah, so therefore, friends, let me quickly conclude. Agri-tech startups have got a lot of future. And at the same time, with a pinch of salt like the GM mustard, I told you how the honeybees might be affected. See, of course, the experiments are on and people's apprehension is also true. And the third thing is, if you do not allow any scientist to talk in India, and if the agri startups take up this and put huge money, you are going to lose. So with these three statements, I quickly conclude my agri startups. The promise is there, the scope is there, the potential is there, and the potential to do service is also there. The big money is also there. Don't be worried. But only thing is, you should be a bit management savvy and IT savvy. Okay, even many IT startups have failed because of the bubble effect and too many people going to. Even today, Ola, Amazon, many are under loss. Don't think they're all under profits. See, because Ola and Uber, why are they losing? Because they have initially invested too much of money expecting that they can exploit the people, but later on the governments intervene and say that you can't exploit. Anyway, these are all some of the things. I'll very quickly stop at this. I'll end my slideshow and then I open it for discussion. I will even stop my sharing. Thank you very much, agriinformation.com. Okay, we keep interacting. It's a great opportunity for me and you and the whole farming community as well, and especially for the startups who have apprehension thinking that there's not much big money in agri startups. Who told? There is big money, but only thing is you should be a sound business manager. You should be a PhD MBA guy like me. And of course, I'm not a good businessman. I only teach. So they say that all the people who failed in business teach business management. It's okay with a pinch of salt. Okay, so the session ends here. Over to Rajini ma'am, and then we open it for a couple of questions and we end it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the detailed talk and presentation. Now I'll take up some questions. So, okay, the first question is, are most startups in agriculture IT technology related? Are there any successful non-IT technology startups?
Yeah, there are successful non-IT startups also, especially on the supply chain aggregation. I saw some startups, who are promoting this minor millets. Okay, minor millets produce. Okay, honey is one big area. So that's all the non-IT sector. Okay, and then Chopin apples, I've been telling you in Jammu Kashmir, especially that dry fruit marketing and all people are establishing. And then there's a wool supply chain, especially coming from Avikanagar and where we make our carpets and all that. Quite big money is there. These are all non-IT based technologies where a lot of big money is. And especially on the organic farming, that inputs part of it. I told input factorization, there is money here. And especially, that my friends from organic farming sector. A lot of people become promoters and they have established the premium prices, tapping the export market, and even in some sort of natural. For example, the banana fiber. Oh my God, it's one of the important sectors. See, people, even I never knew, being an agriculture scientist, that the banana fiber can be used for making fabric because we are just throwing it. And then the other sector which has made huge profits is the cocoa peat. See, earlier, we used to throw that cocoa peat and coming all the coir and husk. But today, the coconut value chain and the coconut startups, every part and every bit is used. I have a small WhatsApp startup group where about 235 entrepreneurs have been doing a good job. And the other startups which are making big money is the using herbal products for making lipstick and mehendis, bindis. Today a lot of inorganic material are going, which is highly cancerous. And I forgot her name. She's from Coimbatore based. I forgot her name. So she works on all these herbal products of the makeup and other things.
Okay. And next question is, what are some examples of agriculture research that become commercialized via successful startups?
See, for example, probiotic is one important area. See, now we have developed so many probiotic organisms which is going to enrich your fruit juice or mango juice or pomegranate juice. Simply drinking juice, you get only sugar and energy. But by taking the probiotic juice, your gut flora, microflora, all those things are going to be improved, especially with the antioxidant technologies which we have been releasing. And it's going to become a health drink. So therefore, it's a very, very big area where a lot of money is there. Okay. And the other part you're asking is probiotic is one idea, and that's especially coming to the agri-engineering things. We have the onion detopper, we have the Arca tricycle, which is working on a solar system. And all those small agri equipments which are mechanized don't need much diesel power or electric power. They are all working on the solar power thing. So this is another big area where startups can make money. And then coming back to the coffee example, recently I was in Putari FPO in Coorg district. See, I told you with 120 rupees a kilo of coffee beans and about 400 rupees a kilo of coffee powder. So what is the big value addition of 280 rupees the fellow is doing? It is only a supply chain model. So therefore, we have been now training most of our startups, especially the coffee planters and coffee growers, to also take up the small stuff. See, adding a little bit of chicory and then establishing a supply chain is a management issue. It is not an agricultural issue. So technology is on one side, business plan on the other side, supply chain on the other side, and value chain establishment on the other side. That is how we say value chain based, startups and system. Yeah.
Yeah, next question. In what ways do you personally or through ICAR, IHR help startups by a way of consultancy?
Yeah, see now when a startup, suppose you have got a brand new idea, you have got, let us say he may be an angel investor funded or he's a bootstrapper who has got his own funds. He can approach IHR. We have got lot about 300 technologies for commercialization. It may be varietal technology, it may be our Arca microbial consortia, it can be our machinery there, it can be our zero energy cooling chamber with less power, it can be our onion detopper. So these are some of the basket technologies, for example, I said, or we can even make you a no, protected cultivation expert. If you come down to IHR, I'll show you. We have a IoT controlled protected cultivation chambers, which is number first in the country. So this is called the Center of Protected Cultivation for Horticulture. So all these technologies, we can commercialize it, we can give you licenses, and you can produce it. And see, people should not simply think of growing on ragi and paddy, and you come out of that mindset. So you should go for very export oriented, high commercial value vanillas or high commercial value medicinal crops, where today a lot of medicinal inputs are there. Just not just allopathy and biochemical formulations, but even herbal based medicines. I'm not saying Ayurveda per se, but so they are all inputs for these things, which are all grown on protected cultivation with a very high cost and very high returns. So these are some of the business models which are coming. So you can come down to IHR. We have a best start. We have a business planning development unit. We will commercialize our technologies. We'll give you license. We'll make you a startup. I told you one of our sensor based startup has become a unicorn. So all that he does is he uses the RFID technology, and also he passes this, especially Alfonso mangoes suffer from fruit fly, Docus dorsalis. So when you pass it through a particular conveyor belt, so the sensor senses the particular mango, even if it is, at a dark green stage of mango, it can say that a particular mango is having fruit fly attack or not. So the moment it senses, it gives a red buzzing sound, and then immediately that particular green mango is pushed off the conveyor belt. So these are some of the technologies we have already commercialized, and where a lot of value is there, man. So you can come down to IHR, take down my number, take down our IHR website number. So we are going to mentor, we are going to ideate you, we are going to mentor you, and then we'll also arrange for funds. We'll license the technologies, and we'll see that, you go into the whole stages of the product life cycle, the ideation, the incubation, the acceleration, and the diversification, and so on. Thank you.
Okay. Next question is what in your opinion is the main reason why Indian farmers are struggling with low incomes?
There are two. Of course, this is a $1 million and a pet question to answer, but very pathetic to suffer. See, now, today, who is a person in a city who makes business? Simple. I'll give an example of coffee. See, if in your house you make coffee, you spend about 2 or 3 rupees with all the milk and all that. If the same coffee is sold in the adjacent to my house, there is a coffee shop. He charges 20 rupees for a cup of coffee. The same thing in the airport, you spend about 100 or 200 rupees. You go to Sheraton Grand, you have to spend 400 rupees for a good Starbucks coffee. So, from where does this value keep rising? Is the question. The value keeps rising because of the 4 P's: the product, place, promotion, and publicity. Okay, the 4 P's, when we say, or in rural marketing, we have the 4 A's. So, until and unless a farmer is able to diversify it, put a small shop. See, the Cafe Desire was a very classic example. I did have it in some of the slides. See, especially that person, Siddharth, who committed the suicide. Okay, Cafe Desire. He came out with even today when you go to McDonald's, you have a Cafe Desire outlet right there. So you will have to have a supply chain. You should have an outlet. Okay, you have to commercialize your product, take it through the supply chain and value chain, which farmer himself is not able to do. Therefore, we have tried to establish the farmer producer organizations and bringing the startups where the farmers are also shareholders. But believe it from me, farmer per se, simply as a producer, cannot get much income, because in agriculture, most of the income is getting accrued because of the value addition and the value chain and the supply chain. Okay, until and unless you are a software engineer, you know Java, Bava, Python, and other coding, you may be paid 2 lakhs per month. But the farmers produce, if it's a tea or a coffee, how much of processing, how much of supply chain, and how much of things it undergoes before it reaches the consumer. Do you mean to say that a farmer can do all those things? At the most, I can tell you that he can ask for a better returns for his produce as a consumer share of the rupee, which people say he should get at least about 60 paise. I told this coffee example. 120 rupees and 400 rupees. So what is his consumer share of rupee? It's hardly about 40%. Okay, 120 rupees divided 100 rupees you keep. It is 25%. Okay, at the most he can get 150 rupees. But since he is not opening a quotas coffee, he does not have a supply chain. And with that, all that marketing cost and all those things, only the quotas fellow is making 400 rupees. So, it is like having a small land and then a real estate fellow coming and taking the land and bringing a building and selling it for 1 crore. So, your question is very analogous to this. Until and unless farmers organize themselves into farmer producer organization, the same cluster-based business organization and the startups, if they do not do this processing, packing, handling, branding, on these sort of jobs, their incomes will not increase. So whatever he has produced, he is getting the income for it. He should be satisfied. But unfortunately, this issue is a bit politicized, and then people are trying to agree with them and then making it as a political slogan to win the elections and so on. But otherwise, I still feel that he's getting quite a good share with so many market intervention schemes, the subsidy schemes, the minimum support price, and then, in some states you have the APMC, in some states you don't have. He can do direct marketing. For what he is doing, he is getting it. Okay, we should not say he should not compare himself with a software engineer who is doing Python and Java in California. Please, thank you very much.
Okay. So now we have the last question. What advice will you give young graduates in agriculture universities to become successful agro entrepreneurs?
No, you please make it louder. I didn't hear.
Yeah, I'll just repeat. What advice will you give young graduates in agriculture universities to become successful agro entrepreneurs?
Yeah, see, now your question is relating to the career counseling part of it. I myself am a BSc AG, MSc AG, PhD, MBA guy. See, now after BSc AG, definitely, everybody wishes that he goes for an MSc AG program or he does an IAS, and then, many of the people, as I have seen, some are entrepreneurs by choice, some are entrepreneurs by force, some are entrepreneurs by situation. So now there are absolutely good entrepreneurs, especially on the media front. There's one Srishti media person who's called Ambrish. He's an MSc Agri Extension. He runs an information service. He makes agriculture videos. So there is some other one who is establishing a good supply chain, the Agri Star. So there are many entrepreneurs. Cafe Desire was one of the classic examples of an agri graduate turned, a coffee planter who has become an agri pruner and so on. But majority of the people, even today, whether you do engineering or agri, they will become a startup maybe at a much later stage. But immediately, Microsoft, he was a school dropout, and then and Apple, Tim Cook or Steve Jobs, they were all entrepreneurs by choice. But some become entrepreneurs and startups by default. See, otherwise, Google is a company where the CEO, Sundar Pichai, is an employed person. He's a CEO. So I do not find much difference between everybody becoming an entrepreneur unless he or she makes those homeworks and have that brilliant idea which it can commercialize. See, otherwise, even joining together, about 10 entrepreneurs joining together and becoming a startup is also a good idea. So ultimately, it is the idea which wins, and not just taking entrepreneurship and startups for the sake of it without even conceptualizing the idea nicely and the ideation process. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sir, I don't see any more questions from our participants. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank you for a very detailed talk and presentation. And we also like to thank all the participants for joining with this meeting. The meeting will now be closed. Have a good day.
Thank you. So nice.
Thank you, sir.
I'm closing.
Yes, sir.